Good morning, DPL. This is Nate G. We are going to do a quick lesson on volume profile, quick overview and questions. It's November 9th, Thursday. Potential pip below. We're waiting to see. The markets are still kind of holding to the high. So let's get rolling. So volume profile is, in a nutshell, if you see down at the bottom of my screen, this is volume that everyone is used to. Okay, and this volume down here that we're all used to looking at is volume by time, meaning in that time frame, that 1 minute candle or that 30-minute candle, it's going to give you volume for that time. Okay. So let me go back. Sorry about that. That's not going to work. When we're looking at volume profile, it's volume by price. Okay? So these volume lines come out from the side of the screen, whether you have this on the right or the left-hand side of your screen, and they show you volume by price instead of volume by time. So how can that be helpful to us as traders to be able to see volume by price? Well, it gives us support and resistance levels, and it shows us where distribution and accumulation might be happening within the market. So if we, and so this is what's on my screen now is a visual range volume profile. So this will change based on the chart that I am currently showing. So let's go to NVIDIA. If right now I'm showing a 1 minute, this section of volume here that we can see is a volume node, and it is representative of all of these people right there that have been trading today on this gap up, right? There is another volume node, or we say volume node or value area, which is down here, which visibly is all these people right here. Okay. But if I really want to find out those what those people were doing down there from a price analysis standpoint, I have to back it out and I have to see that whole section. And so as you can see, watch the volume profile. That's why this is called visible range volume profile. This is what it shows now, but as I see more of that price action, it changes. Okay, so if I want to see where we might hit a resistance area, right? So let's say we're trading here just today. So let me just put today on here. And I want to know where we're going to find resistance below us. Okay, I can't see any lines, but there's support below us. There's support below us, but where are we going to find support? Well, we're going to find it when we start to look at some of these people and further out. So when we talk about volume profile, these are our support and resistance levels. So on a very basic level, a value area low is support. A value area high is resistance. And then we have what we call the point of control, which is not always the midpoint, but the point of the most volume in the middle of this value area. Okay, so what generally we will do is come in and mark those areas. So in this case, we're going to find our value area low, and you can see there's some volume down here, but if we're trading NVIDIA today, and we want to know our areas, NVIDIA's breaking out conveniently, right? I would measure my value area right at right at that line right there. There's a little bit of volume below that, but you can see, based on this chart, right, that line that I just put in has acted as a support level a little bit here, there, there. We did a little breakdown and reclaim, but that's pretty good support, and it lines up with the bottom of the largest part of that VP. And then we're going to come up here and find the value area high for that node, which I would put, you know, right here, even though there's a little bit more VP above it now, because that also lines up with the chart. Here's some resistance, 1, 2, 3. We broke, we came back and retested. Okay, and now we're creating some additional VP up here. But this shows us our support down here and resistance levels. And then in the middle of that, we'll have a point of control, right? And then usually we'll come in here and we'll say, okay, I'm going to make that point of control a different color, right? I'm going to make that red. And you can have that automatically on your chart. And so when you look at a larger time frame, like let's look at this daily chart, and let me get rid of those drawings there. You can see that within, on the daily chart, we have this much larger volume node. Let's get rid of all the drawings here. We have this much larger volume profile node, and then as we come in, we start to get these smaller, more defined volume profile nodes, right? So if I'm going to start marking up a chart where I think we're going to have support and resistance levels, I'm going to come into, this is the daily chart of NVIDIA. I'm going to put a line at this point of control there, and I'm going to put another line at this point of control here. Okay, now the art form to this, the non-science, is you can see we're above, price is above both of these lines. And so as you can see, I've put my line on my chart below at the bottom side of the rectangle. Okay, if price was below, I'd be moving these up to the top side. And that's just so it gives me enough room to find where this, you know, may or may not find support, right? I want to give it a little bit of room down into those areas. So if NVIDIA were to roll here, it's not going to at the moment, it's too strong. But let's say we came up and we rolled, I would expect to find some support there before a potential continued move, because of this large volume profile point of control area. So when we're trading this now, obviously that move is, let's go to like a 5-minute chart. Right? That move would be all the way down into this line here, which is quite a ways. But since we have those on our chart, God, why can't I keep switching between drawing tools here? Because we have those on our chart, now when we're in closer and we're watching a name into certain levels, right? We're here and we're saying, okay, I think this is going to come down. You say, well, why do I have this line on my chart here? You know, that's a volume profile. You can make notes on these lines. Oh, that's a volume profile node on the daily. That's going to be a large support level, even though it doesn't really show right now. Does that make sense? Hankus, when you're saying that when you jump from a 30-minute or daily profile, the volume profile is the same, it changes based on what's visible. And so let's look at this on a 10-minute chart. Right, so you see the line that I drew prior, right? That was a large volume node. Once I get into this 10-minute chart, I would say probably, okay, I'm going to adjust this ever so slightly to here. Okay, and that's where I feel like I'm going to find some support if NVIDIA rolls over, right? And then there'll be another one here if I'm playing a shorter term chart. But I know that because these are red on a daily chart, right, those are my kind of key areas that I need to keep an eye on as major support levels, being that we are above price. So if we want to take this into a trade, for those of you that do TPS trading, right, that which is the primary, which is our primary edge here in DPL, is Nate's primary edge. We can start to find support and resistance levels for a trade. So this is RTX. We were looking at this 2 days ago. We liked this 78-minute squeeze, right? We had a trend, an upward trend. We had a pattern that we liked prior to it kind of rolling up, right? We had our bird pattern or our flag or however you want to call that. And then we had our squeeze, right? And we got our, and then the fourth one is we got our, change in momentum color, right? And in setting up this particular trade, right? I'll go back. Let me replay. We were kind of in this range here. We were a little bit further. Okay. Yeah, I think we were about here. And so how this helps us is this is the trade I want to take. We were actually back one. Can I go back one slide? Maybe not. Maybe I just got to go. We were kind of into this area here, okay? So if I'm setting this trade up, you should be able to see this here. This yellow line is my stop level. And you can see I've drawn it there because we have a value area low here on the VP, which also conveniently lines up with support and support, right? So my volume profile level on my chart also shows up when I'm charting, right? Those levels are, I can confirm that level by seeing that this has acted as support in numerous occasions. Okay. And then as you can see this line here, this red line, right? We're at that red line. We've come above our point of control, which we've drawn on the chart. We've moved above it. This is our spike high in our TPS setup. And we've come back down to retest this level. Okay, so when we did our risk reward trade setup, we could take a trade off of here. We risk down to support, right? So our risk, I think we had it like 40 cents or something like that. Yeah, about 40 cents, right? For a what was it? I think it was a $2, for a $2 move up. And you'll have to excuse my pretty sweet handwriting. But we're taking it off a point of control level. Our stop is below this support value area low, and we're looking for this to move up and break the high here, and then hit our profit target of the 1272. And you put those on the chart as well. And for those of you who don't know how to do that, this is your fib extension. You go from the high to the low, and you mark your 1272 extension right there. And that, you can watch that video, it's posted. But this is how we're taking TPS, right? This is our TPS trade. We want to get in this trade, right? And we have all of our criteria set up. Now we're going to create our stop level. We know our entry spot. Our point of control is an over underline. So if we got below the point of control, then we need to be a little bit careful. What we want to see is price. Let's say it comes down to here, it bounces. We need to see price get back up above our point of control before it's going to move up. And so that's how we can use this volume profile to our advantage when we're taking these TPS trades. And then you'll see this one is a good example just because. And then the other tool which we talked about using is, if we're going to take a trade here, let's say we buy it there, we can use this risk reward tool or profit and loss tool and say, okay, that's my profit target, that's my entry, that's my exit. This shows me basically a 5-to-1 win ratio or a profit to loss, right? And then you just let the trade play out, and if it hits your profit target, you take your profit. If it breaks below your stop level, you stop. And that's what this looks like currently. We came up and we double topped, and now we're kind of rolling over a little bit. And as I'm talking, is the market? No, it's not. No, it is not. So, does anybody have any other charts they'd like to look at, and we can do some VP on them for more lessons? More ideas on. Does anybody have any questions on what I just went over? Oh, and my chat wasn't scrolling either. Apologize. Let me see if I can catch up. Let's see here. The volume by price on your charts, if you go up here to the indicators and you just VRVP, it's visible range volume profile. Sorry, my chat wasn't scrolling, so I'm a little behind. I apologize. And so what that looks like when you get it on there, here are my settings. I've changed my row size to 150. The standard is 770, I believe. I like a little bit more detail. And then on my style, I've moved it to the left, and I've actually changed my colors here because I kind of like the red and the green a little bit better. Hankus, yeah, you can put the point of control on, right? Which will give you the point of control, the largest point of control for your chart, if you want to. You can also do a value area high and a value area low. Although it's not my favorite because it's sort of arbitrary, and I like to draw my own lines. So I actually sometimes I'll have the POC on just so it's in there, but I also like to just come in and draw it myself. I find that my lines are much more accurate because that's just doing it through an algorithm, right? Matt C, great question. Why the Fibonacci for profit targets and not volume profile? You can most definitely use volume profile for your price targets if you're working in, let me find a good trade here. Let's see here. So if I'm day trading and I am trying to short, this is Visa right now, okay? Let's say I was trying to short Visa. I could short Visa down into, so you could absolutely do that, right? I'm looking for a break of this pattern here. what I'm looking for is price to come back, retest this level here, and then roll to probably find support at this level. Okay, so that could be your profit target. When we're talking about a TPS trade, our profit targets are going to be a little bit different because a lot of the time there's not a lot of volume profile above where we're trading. Or the volume profile might be 10, 15 points above where we're trading. So under the rules for TPS, right, our trend pattern squeeze, we're taking profits, generally when the market is in our favor or going the direction we're hoping it's going or trending, right? We're going to take it off at the 1272, maybe leave a trailer on for the 1618. But given the market conditions recently, a lot of us are taking profits into the spike high and then maybe leaving a trailer on for more of a move. So it comes down to the edge you're playing. Yes, this is TradingView, John. It comes down to the edge that you're playing, right? So yesterday, what was the trade? Costco, right? Let's see if it'll come up, if my lines on that chart will come up. Since I closed it already. Yeah, so Costco was looking a little toppy, right? Costco was looking toppy up in here. It broke that value area low, which you can see on the chart right now. I mean, I didn't just draw those lines, right? Those are on there from yesterday. And we shorted it down into this support level here, which you can't really see unless we start to zoom out, right? So as we start to zoom out and we see more data, that level has changed since that trading happened, but that level was created, and this is the power of volume profile. That level was created by these people right here. Do you think it was created by these people right here? Or these people right here? Right? No. It was all this trading that happened right here that created the support level that bounced off of yesterday. And it's continuing to kind of hold today, right? But you don't see that when you're just looking at this chart. It's not clear. And that's the power of volume profile, is going out and finding where those people are, right? So let's talk about the other thing that volume profile can help with, right? It's market psychology. So here's our point of control. So everybody, and follow me here if you can, I'm switching gears slightly. This kind of has a decent pattern that people might think we're consolidating to go long. Would you maybe agree? There's no real squeeze, but there's enough of this accumulation distribution, right? It's happening in here that a bunch of people could have been trying to position for a move to the upside, right? Okay. Can we kind of agree that some people could have been trying to play it long in here? So if that's the case, most retail traders that were trying to play it long in here, do you think they stopped out right here? Yeah, it does look like a head and shoulders, but just go with me on this, right? Not everybody has, and we shorted it, right? Not everybody, has good chart reading skills like we do here in this room, right? But I want to explain this. I'm guaranteeing there were people in here that were trying to still still take this trade long, right? That were trying to position themselves for a long trade. And I'm also betting that when it broke this level, right, they did not get out. Because how many of us in this room, how many of you in this room don't cut your trades in time when they break down? Almost everybody has made that mistake on a number of occasions. So people in here are underwater in their trade, and now they're trading on hopium, right? They're hoping that Costco will work its way back up here and then move higher. And hopium is not a trade plan. So if we look at our point of control right here, that means that the largest amount of people sit kind of right in this area in terms of where their entry price was, right? So if we mark that level and we watch this trade come, maybe it breaks down further and it doesn't give us a chance. But if this bounces back up into this area, where's it going to find a resistance? Where's it going to reject? Hopium is a new word, yes. Where's it going to reject? Where are we going to find resistance? If price starts working its way back up into there, where are we going to find resistance? Anyone? Bueller? Yeah. We are most likely going to reject in the short term off of this point of control level. Why? Why would we find resistance right there? For DPL bucks. Yeah. What's the psychology? There you go. Can't see with the DPL bucks. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. People that are underwater in this trade and were, God, maybe we added here. Oh God, God, if I could just get back to break even, I swear to God, I'll never take a trade that I won't stop out on again, which is not true. They get back up here to break even because they bought somewhere in here. My drawings are all over the place. Sorry. And they sell. They say, "Phew, I'm at break even. Thank God." I just want, or maybe they added and they're like, "Oh God, I made a profit." How many of you have done that? You a trade gets away from you here, didn't stop out. Crap, this is not going to be good. Okay, I'm going to add, and then it gets back up into here, and you're like, "Oh man, I'm up 30% on this trade. I'm a good trader," and you sell in this area anyway. And you have the euphoria of having a green trade, even though the trade broke down and you didn't stop out and you added to a loser and you did everything wrong, you still have that euphoria of a green trade. How many of you have done that? Put a 1 in chat if you've done that. I'll start. Yeah, right? Like, here, I'm putting mine in. Like, look at me. I'm a boss trader because, and you put it in chat too. You're like, yeah, 30% Costco. And people jump in and they go, "Oh, must have bought it down here, moved up into there. What a great trade." And really what happened is you got in here trying to go long, you got underwater, you lived on hopium, right? Maybe decided to just make one final ad just because, and then it gets back up to here and you're like, "Yeah, 30% winner. I'm the boss." Right? And really it was a crap trade and you didn't follow any of your rules. Right. So it's like making a birdie, you know, it's like hosling a sand wedge off the top lip of the bunker, and it just so happens to get some weird favorable hop and rolls, 6 inches from the hole for your birdie, right? It's or a par save, and it was just everything about it was awful. But somehow the outcome, made you look good in the end. The scorecard doesn't have any pictures, right? But it ought to, especially in trading. I'm showing 150 on the up down, I think is the answer to your question. $150. Ron, there is no simple fix because I know what you're talking about. SPY and Qs will have plenty of market data. SPX and futures will not. And that's just the nature of the futures. There will be some. So like if you go there is some, but they're traded differently, and so you're gonna get some lines in here. But like if you want VP lines for SPX, just look at SPY. Right? What are we doing here? Anything? No, we're just going sideways. 1, 2, 3. God, the last 4 days have just pretty much gone sideways. Judy, I'm trying to find your question. Where is it? You're too. I like that comment. That's pretty funny. You're too stupid about option trading to think I've suddenly become smart. Well, we can help boost that option knowledge since most of us trade options in here. Wendy, so I think your question on the longer the consolidation, the bigger the move, I think you're talking about when there's a squeeze, right? Not necessarily. On short squeezes, the move is usually a little bit smaller. The window is like kind of that. I don't know, and we'll see if Nate agrees with me. 5 to 10 dots depending on your time frame. But you can get some of these trades that are 30 days long in a squeeze, and sometimes those just never really fire. They're just chopping around. So there is kind of a point of diminishing returns, I think. Yeah, Ron, I have a video on YouTube about setting up TradingView charts. That being said, I'm happy to share this TradingView chart with all of you right now if you want it, which has candles this way. It has squeeze. It has VP on it. It has the 8, the 21, and the 34 EMA. What else does it have on it? Oh, VWAP. Yeah, so I'm happy to share this chart with you if you want it. Okay, let's look at Amazon. Amazon 30, you say? You say? Oh, hello. Hello. Yeah, that's pretty. I do like that. The only issue I have is that we're supposed to get a pip pull low. That's the only issue. You like the 10? Yeah, I like the 10. What are you looking to do? Oh god. I mean, I'm flat. I'm not in anything right now. I'm just waiting. Yeah, I'm answering your question. I mean, it's just sitting on this VP level here. That's pretty. Yeah, I do like that. It's got a good RR, right? Basically, breakdown here, right? So let's do what we did yesterday. If you like this long or short, Nate's gonna take it short. He's looking for, my guess is, so here's our VP. Let's get in a little tighter here. Okay. So I'm gonna move in. We like this chart. Here's my value area low, right? I'm gonna mark that in yellow. Here's our value area high. I'm gonna mark that in yellow. I'm going to adjust our point of control slightly up to there. Okay, so we're kind of bouncing around the point of control. We need a break of this line, this trend line here, and then we need a break of this value area low. So then let's find what our risk reward would be on a trade like this. Let's use our high of day as, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's say we play this down into, let's just say we play it for a gap close. Okay, so we're going to play it down here to profit target. I'm going to make it green. Okay, there's our profit target. So let's use our box, right? That we were using yesterday for everybody that's doing a risk reward. Okay, so we're going to use the high a day as our stop. And then we're going to use that. I guess technically a gap close is higher. But I'm going to take it down into that level there because I like where that VP sits. So that is a 2.2 to 1 risk reward. Okay. So if you liked that short, you could put it on here. You could wait till it breaks the trend. You could wait and see if we get a spike to the high. I doubt that's going to happen. But it's at a nice level, right? And then so we talked about making sure that we honor, if we break this level, if we're playing a 10-minute chart, it has to be a break of that level on a 10-minute candle. Then we cut it, and then we have a 2 to 1 risk reward. That's copyright. That one it's a paid copyright as well. No, I'll show you. It's actually a pretty cool tool, especially when teaching. So it's this tool right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 down. You have a long position and a short position, right? So it just reverses them. But basically, you just put it right at where you're going to enter the trade, and it gives you a box. And then you pull, that's my stop, and then this is my exit. And you can actually just continue this out, like if you're in a longer trade, and you can just leave it on the chart, right? And so that the trade will start to play out, but it'll also show you my risk reward here is 2.6, so that's a 2 to 1 risk reward. My stop is at, it'll give you your level, it'll give you a percent. That's if you're playing the stock, right? And then oh, and where you started this is it'll give you an open P&L percentage as if you're playing the stock. And you can just leave it on the chart. So when you check your chart, you've set your risk reward. It fits your profile, and then you just let the trade play out. It's kind of like we did here on RTX, except I moved it when we started. I went here. Oh no, that's not the right one. I went long position from here, right? And it looks like it makes it green. It darkens the green when you're in the box. See that other green, that darker green that's showing? That's since the trade is put on. I'm trying to see. It says open P&L 0.80. So I don't know. What are we up? 80 cents? Yeah, roughly. So then it'll just keep that going, and then you can see, you can just wait for it hit your profit target or you exit. It's pretty cool. I don't know what it's called. It's just this, long and short position in projections. Mark, I would say, it depends on your trading win rate, right? So if you have a 75% win rate, I mean, it's all just comes down to math, right? So Mark asks, what's a good risk reward? Well, if you have, a 75% win rate and you have a, you know, well, let's do, and you have a 50% RR or 1 to 1, you're a winning trader, right? Or invert that. If you have a 40% win rate, but you only take trades that are 4 to 1, you're a winning trader, right? So it comes down to what your win rate is and what your risk reward is. And then I'll take that a step further, and we use this chart to talk about it. If I put this trade on this was it 4 to 1? I can't remember. This was 40 cents. Let's just say it was 3 to 1. That's not the exact math, right? But let's say it was 3 to 1. That's a good risk reward. I'd say 2 to 1 or better is a good risk reward. The problem is the following. My stop is right here. This is where most all traders fail in this risk reward scenario. Okay? If price moves below that level we were playing a 30, I can't remember, 30-minute chart maybe. So if I get a 30-minute candle that looks like this, that's not a stop out. Okay? It spiked through, but that candle didn't close. If I get a 30-minute candle that looks like that, that's a stop out. Okay? Because it closed below my level. But the issue is most retail traders will do what we talked about over here on Costco. They'll have a stop right here, which is good risk reward, and they won't honor it. So then what was let's say, 2 to 1 risk reward turns into a 2 to 5 risk reward, and their loss outweighs their win. And even if they're a 75% trader in terms of wins to losses, they're still a losing trader because their losses are always way more than their wins. Does that make sense? So when you're talking risk reward and you're setting up a risk reward trade like we're doing here in Amazon, This is good risk reward only if you're going to honor this as your stop. And only if you're going to honor this as your exit. Because another problem that people have, problem number one, main problem, well, they're kind of combined. I'm going to let my stop go too far because we're shorting this, right? And I'm going to be too far underwater. That's problem number one if it goes against me. Problem number two, and this is sometimes the very same problem, it goes the way I want it to, and I see, 50% in my P&L, and I go, I'm taking 50% because the last trade I had 50%, and then it started going against me again, and I don't want to waste this. I don't want to waste that 50%. So now you have this trade. Sorry, this turned into a risk reward. A risk reward scenario. Now you have this trade that was a 3-1, but now you're taking it off in a 1-3 because your losses are gonna go right. So you set it up correctly, but then your psychology did not allow you to follow your trade plan. Right? You have to follow your trade plan, which means not taking them off early, which many of us have a problem with, and it means cutting them when they don't work. We all, as retail traders, when we're starting, we all do the opposite. We hope that that's going to come back when it goes against us, and we take profits too early because we're scared and we want to lock that profit in. Yeah, I'm probably describing almost everybody in this room to a T right now. And I said it yesterday in the risk reward session. Making money in the market is easy. Learning the how is easy. Not losing money and being disciplined and knowing the psychology is hard. It's very, very hard. So any monkey can make some money in the market. Doing it consistently with good risk management is incredibly hard. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Yeah, losing money is really easy, right? So is making money. And you only remember the times you make money, really. That's when the euphoria kicks in, and the hate kicks in here, the self-hate. But this is your dopamine hit, right? I was going to try and write dopamine, and then I decided that's a really terrible idea with my mouse. But this is your dopamine hit. This is a little self-loathing for 24 hours. Do you know what I mean? So follow your rules. So if you struggle with this, you can use this tool that we just put on the chart, and then you can go in and place a conditional order, right? If price gets to one, so we're shorting, okay? So if price gets to 143.30, I have a conditional exit order. If price gets to 139.35, I have a take profit order, right? And this one cancels this one. So whatever happens to price, and then walk away. Profits. And then you don't your emotion's out of it. Loss. Totally fine. But you can set that conditional order and then just leave it. And then you're not fighting the monster inside that's going to tell you to take profits early and not stop out when you break. When you're level-headed, right, you can create those parameters and put those on. Yeah, this is being recorded, Tony. I'll post it up. Yeah, Pete. There'll be a recording. It'll be on later today. So you can ask your broker how to set an OCO order and how you would do that with options. It's a little bit harder, but it's not impossible. Okay. So on an option like on Thinkorswim and an active trader, you can put on an options trade, right? You can place an order, and then you'll see. Uh, I was going to pull up an options thing, and on the chart you can put a stop in, and it'll show you a dotted line where that might be in relation to price on your chart, and then you can put in a stop exit order, and it'll give you a line kind of where it is on the chart. Kind of. This is in Thinkorswim. Okay. Um, Now the problem is if we get a spike in IV, or if theta, if you don't put on an option that is far enough out, then theta to decay will start to move that line closer to price, right? Because it's usually based on this is a $100 loss and this is a $400 win, right? You can set those parameters if you start to get good in options. So let me pull over an options chain. Sorry, this is getting kind of crazy, but if you know that our price here is 142, let's say 142 on the nose, and you buy a 50 delta option, right? You know that for every dollar move that way, it's going to move 50 cents, right? And for every dollar move that way, for the time being, it's going to move 50 cents until it starts to get more in the money, and then that's just going to go up. So at 142, let's say that you bought an option that was, $5, right? You could start to do the math here and say, okay, I need to put my stop loss and I'm trying to do the math in my head and my brain's not firing. I haven't had enough coffee, but you can really math it out and say, okay, I want to take this off at when the option is at, $4, right? And I want to take it off when the option hits, $10 if it was a $5 option, or something around those, right? So you can do that in any trading platform. Um, they'll offer conditional orders, and if this order gets triggered, it cancels this order, or vice versa, so that you don't accidentally short something, um, because the previous order was still sitting there. Like you came here, it took out, you took profits, and then all of a sudden it comes down here and it's like, oh, okay, it's going to sell, but I don't have a position. It's going to stop out of a position that I no longer have. So now I'm short, shares. These two need to cancel each other. Yeah, Hankus, this is more for, if you're long a call or long a put or long the stock. If you're playing, spreads, it can still work for spreads, but your profit targets are going to be a little bit different, and depending on the type of spread, credit spread or debit spread, you might be just hoping that this expires worthless, right? Because you sold the spread, and then, right. So it's a combination of things. We are marking up the chart. We are figuring out our stop and profit areas. We are then looking at risk reward and making sure it fits our parameters, right? We're doing all of those things. And then the most important part, that's all easy. All you have to do is do a little bit of studying and be in a room like this, and you'll learn it. It's easy. I say that relatively, right? But it's anybody can learn it and how to do it, and get better at it with time. The hard part is following your plan. That's the hard part, because your brain gets in the way. Your fear, your euphoria, your PTSD from previous trades, that is what kills retail traders. I can't stress that enough. The knowing how to do this is attainable by almost anyone in terms of charting, risk reward, figuring out an edge, blah, 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 blah. Honoring your trade plan is the hard part. I don't know if Nate's still in here and would agree with me or not. I'm sure he would. Yeah, all the things that come with trading: fear of missing out, greed, PTSD from past trades. Like, that's the psychology side. D-Man did a great psychology session a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure he'll do another one soon, right? So, whoever just asked about these boxes, it's like the fourth one down here on TradingView, and it's just long position and short position, and you can change them, you know, based on the trade you're taking. WBS about an hour, but there's so much downtime during the trading day as you're waiting for things to kind of happen that usually I've done some scanning already, and I've got a list of things that I'm looking at for the next day. If I was a hyper trader like D-Man, I would do most of that in the morning, but I'm not really a hyper trader. Yeah, WBS, that just takes time. A lot of times I'm guessing, this is just a guess, but I feel like you might feel like you're rushing into a trade because you're taking a trade recommendation from Nate, and you feel like if you don't buy it right this second, it's going to get away from you, right? And what I recommend is most of the trades that Nate puts on are, and once the market is trending a little bit more, will be swing trades. And a lot of times, if you pull up the chart and you look at it and you start to mark it up based on your trade criteria and your risk parameters, right? The other thing we haven't even touched on is sizing. Nate talked about it a little bit today. Position sizing, right? If you have a small account and Nate comes in and says, "Yeah, I bought 5 contracts," you're probably not going to want to buy 5 contracts, because now you're 30% of your account is in one trade, right? So that's a whole nother piece to this whole puzzle. But I'm just assuming that everybody's being careful enough and their position sizing is small enough that any one trade is not going to explode your account. Yeah, WBS, if you're stuck on a number, so for instance, if I'm looking for a trade to come into a certain level to buy, let's just say, right, I wanted to buy, all right, let's just say this, since it's up, let's use this. I'd like to short Amazon if we can get a bounce back up into here. Okay, that's somewhat unrealistic, right? Then my risk reward is really tight. I can, if that's my plan, I can set a conditional order here, a stop limit order that if price gets to that area, it's going to trigger in a put, right? And then I'm not panicked trying to watch that area. It's going to enter me into a position when it gets to that level. If you're confident enough in your charting abilities. I've never heard of a 1-0 risk reward there, Tony. Is that what you were typing in? Every trade you put on is going to have risk. You might have been putting something else in there. I don't know. Yeah, Hankus. Charts and plans are the whole. They're so important. And if you're swing trading, and you'll see Nate do this when we start to do more swing trading, when the market's a little bit more favorable, he'll come in here and he'll say, Amazon short 30-minute. This is a TPS, and then it'll be entry at exit at profit target 1. We're waiting for this to come back in, so that, let's say we hadn't put this trade on yet, and we're over here. I'm looking at SPX. I'm like, oh crap, with this, and I'm trading Visa, and then I've got to come out. I've got to exit, a Costco, and then you're like, oh wait, I just got triggered on Amazon, or an alert just went off on Amazon, and you can pop over to the Amazon chart, and you're like, oh, what was I looking at? Okay, I want to short this on the 30-minute. I'm looking for an entry here, and that's why my alert went off, because it's at my entry point. That's your trade plan. Or my alert went off because I hit my exit. You can put your trade plans right on the chart. Ted Montana, in TOS, it's called volume profile, and I have a couple of videos on that on YouTube if you want to watch those. I'm running a little short on time to do that now on the mic. Dev, mostly technical analysis. Oh, got it, Tony. Yeah, let's look at Tesla real quick, and then I'll jump. Okay, so we got Tesla pulling back. Let me get rid of all my lines, and let's do it again if you want to really figure out how to do this. Okay. So here's Tesla. What are we on? 30-minute chart? Okay. Okay, here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a value area low right here at 211.46. And why is that a value area low? Well, we have some resistance, some support. We got below it. We've got resistance. We've got above it. We've got support, right? So what was resistance becomes support, and what was support becomes resistance, right? So to me, that line, and it lines up with this massive VP node right here, right? So we're now below that, and that to me is bearish, because our VP, our point of control line, is here, which we broke below, right? I'll make that red. And so switching between two different drawing. Let's see here. There we go. We're gonna make that red. So what I'm watching this price what I'm watching to see what happens here, there's kind of two things that I could see happening. Number one, let's go to a 10-minute chart. Okay, same lines, 10-minute chart. We've broken below. So what I'm watching for now is two things. Number one, a retest of that breakdown level and a continued roll. That's number one. That's called a retest. So we broke down. We always retest the breakdown level. And then what happens here is anyone's guess, but what was support should be resistance. And we could see that if we get continued selling. Or option two is we'll come back into the pattern, retest, and then work our way back up towards this point of control. This is called a breakdown and reclaim. And it would move back in, and then now it's support, so it would retest it and go. So that's either a retest is up to here and roll. A reclaim is back into the pattern and retest. So that's a pretty key level that I'd be watching. If it continues to roll, let's see if we can find some levels. I would be looking into these people right here for a little bit of support. And then gap close. So I would say I would put, let's see here. I would put gap close on the chart. And then I would get right into these people right here. We'd get real close. Right, I just want to see those people. That's why this is visible range, volume profile. Right, and I think our point of control is about right there. Okay, so then as I come back out, I have these two levels of support that I would watch at 207.85 and 205.72. I hope that helps. And Powell's going to talk at 2. Coach Tony, there is a FAQ file. See if I can find it. It's in the videos underneath excuse me, underneath the stream. You might be able to find them. So, does anybody have questions on kind of how we're using volume profile? And I say a lot, it's an art. It's not a science, because if it were a science, these lines could just be automatically on our charts, right? You know, there's an art to it, and there's an art to looking at the volume profile and then looking at the chart and seeing kind of where your ranges would be, and then also recognizing that that line is not a hard and fast line. Like there can be a little bit of movement there on where it bounces or it doesn't bounce. So just nothing's really rolling over at the moment. I'm trying to think of, is there a chart where I've already have lines on it that will kind of just show you, you know, that those lines tend to be really uh, valid. No, I mean, we could go in and look at bounces off of these lines and stuff like that. I mean, you can kind of see it here. These red lines, that was resistance there. It's acted as support there, and those are lines I've had on my charts for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'm trying to come up with a good example, but the better you get at drawing these, that line has been on there forever. It acted as support there on the spike down, acted as resistance there, acted as support there, acted as resistance there, right? Like once you kind of start to hear, there's a line where you get a resistance level, two times. It kind of acted as oh sorry, support kind of acted as resistance through there. It's just once you start to be able to draw these lines on, it really helps inform your decisions, and gives you levels that when you're in here looking at a 1 minute chart, and you're like, what the hell is that level from? But we're coming into it, so I should find out, and you do, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a major level that I need to be aware of. Like this line here, this was a major topping line earlier before we broke out, and I didn't just draw this on my chart, but look at that, perfect, almost to the nose, support level twice, resistance level there. So it's a pretty powerful tool once you start to really use it. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? That's kind of it for me at the moment. No questions? Nate, are you in here? You want to take the screen back for your 1 o'clock?